YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode here on ESGNet. And this is the Sports Gamers Podcast, or I should say the Sports Gamer Soapbox Podcast Talk. And we are in episode 14 this week, as we are going to be talking about several things here this week on the show. Got a lot, actually quite a bit of this is NFL stuff. As you know, NFL camps, training camps are starting here. I got a bit of my own personal thing going on with the NFL camps. As I've kind of mentioned this several times here on the show, or actually in other videos, that I work at a local university, and I'm one of the people that helps out with the Chiefs training camp, and so I'm going to be a part of that this coming weekend, and I'll show you guys what I do there and whatnot a little later on the show. But in today's episode, we got NFL news. We got some talk about some training camp issues with some players, some on the field stuff, some non on the field stuff. Like Geno Smith, he is pissed at the Jets right now because of a signing they just had of another former quarterback of theirs. Have they re-signed? We'll get you guys in some news about that. Also, all lives matter too, according to Mr. Sherman. That is Mr. Richard Sherman. We'll get into some news about what he thinks about all lives matter and Black Lives Matter and several other lives that matter. That's been, of course, been going on here as of late, which the social problems that we've had here in this country when it comes to gun violence. Could Drew Brees be catching a breeze out of town in the Big Easy? Could he be leaving New Orleans? Well, we'll talk about that and get into all of that here in a few moments. Not to mention, two NFL wide receivers right now are at a bidding war here. Or I should say, have put up a huge wager between themselves this season. And we'll tell you who those guys are, and what they are wagering this season here in the NFL. And my question is, how does Goodell feel about this? You know how he is about players having any kind of fun. We'll have to talk about that. Not also to wrap up the show, we'll talk about what's going on in the world of pro wrestling. As usual here on the show, we'll talk about what is going on with the WWE. The new era has finally begun, and what does that mean for us as the WWE fans and for the WWE superstars? Well, we'll see how it starts off as Raw and Smackdown started off the battle of the brands this past week. And we'll talk about Raw and Smackdown, some of the new things that are going on in the world of the WWE, like a new championship, a new look for a division, I should say, and also a new look for a show. We'll get into all that here on today's podcast. So, hopefully you're having a great Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening or whatever, however you're listening to this. Hopefully you're having a great weekend. I know I am. Like I said, I'll be working the Kansas City Chiefs training camp here. I'll get into more of that here in just a bit. But first, let's start off with some NFL news. Actually, let's start off with some NBA news. We got some quick NBA news, as there's been a report, according to a reporter from the Bleacher Report, a ESPN.com columnist recently said he had a talk with Russell Westbrook. Of course, he's the point guard of the Oklahoma City Thunder, and it was according to him in an interview with Russell Westbrook. It was said that KD said that he had a conversation with Westbrook saying that he was going to re-sign with the Thunder, and that he did not have to worry about him leaving the team. He was wanting to stay there for life. Now, this is according to an ESPN.com reporter saying that he had a conversation with Westbrook just prior to the conclusion of the NBA playoffs. And as of course you all know, the Thunder did not do so well in the playoffs as they were eliminated. And of course, that there was a lot. That was the biggest question of the year. Kevin Durant was one of the biggest names in the NBA as a free agent coming up, and a lot of people wanted to know, okay, KD, where are you going? Are you going to go? Are you going to stay in Oklahoma City, or are you going to go to the Knicks, which was one of the top teams out there that was could afford him and his contract that he was looking for, the type of money he was wanting. Chicago Bulls was another team. There was also rumors saying he could go to the Cavaliers, but there was also a strong, look at him staying in Oklahoma City and keeping him as a franchise player for pretty much for the rest of his career. Well, of course, when everything is said and done, we find out that later on he is going to go ahead and sign with the Golden State Warriors. So that's where he's currently signed with. And recently, after this report was made, Kevin Durant came out to the press and said, no, that alleged, that so-called dinner that they had together, nothing was mentioned about him signing with any team. Him and Westbrook never talked about him returning or leaving at all. They never had a conversation like that, and he doesn't know where that came from. So it kind of gets you wondering, like, okay, what, who's telling the truth? Is KD trying to avoid this? Is Westbrook trying to be an instigator and trying to instigate stuff because he's upset that KD's lost? A lot of people are saying too that this was could have been the thing that that made KD, with everything that was going on between him and Westbrook. And this is not the first time. I mean, over the course of a season, they've had some kind of spats and stuff. And this is not the first time they've had, spats at one another in the public eye or anything like that. Westbrook's one of those players, he wants to take control. And for that first part of the season here, Westbrook was doing a pretty good job there by himself. Leading that team there, and some victories and several good wins against some really good basketball teams. But at the same time, people are saying, Westbrook is a good player, but he is not the face of the franchise. The face of the franchise is Kevin Durant. And I have to agree with him. Kevin Durant is the face. To me, when I think of Oklahoma City, his name and his face are the first things I think of. Of course, now that's going to be different now, since KD is now with the Golden State Warriors. And, of course, now people in that aspect are saying that he's chasing a championship. And honestly, I said this before, there's nothing wrong with chasing a championship. That's the whole idea of being a part of, being in the NBA. Everyone is chasing a championship. It doesn't matter if you've been with a team for 19 years like Tim Duncan, and he's had 3 championships himself, or if you're like LeBron, you go to one team, you play for a championship, you come up short several times, and that not just his fault, but also the team owner's fault, the team itself coming up short, and then deciding, hey, you know what, I'm going to take my talent somewhere else. I'm going to team up with 2 other people to make a big 3 team and win a championship down there. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's the thing. Everyone is chasing for a ring. It's all depending on how you do it. And a lot of people, again, saying that it was wrong for LeBron to put up a show like that, which is, don't get me wrong, it was true. He should have done that, and now that's happened to KD right now, as there was so much backlash of what LeBron was doing, and KD was one of the first guys out there saying that it was wrong of LeBron doing that and going chasing the ring. Well, I'm sorry, but who isn't chasing the ring? Who doesn't want to win a championship before their career and say, hey, I'm an NBA champion? That's the name of the game. And not to mention, you got to go where the money's at. If someone's willing to pay you X amount of dollars for X amount of years, and you got to, and especially if you can play, if you're playing with guys that you enjoy playing with, that makes it all even better. There is such thing called team chemistry, and there's no chemistry on that team. There's no life of having. There's the odds of you getting a championship come slim to none. So that, on that aspect, if this is and also too, you gotta think about this could be just a story that the columnist is trying to get some traffic through his website or to preferably ESPN's website, and trying to get a name, get his name out there as a reporter and stuff like that. So you don't know what's being said. Also, too, Russell Westbrook has a tendency of just being a little dramatic about a lot of things and just not letting things go. And that's the thing, even if, let's say Kevin Durant does win a championship, or even if he doesn't, it's a 2-year contract. He has a player option that he can opt out after this upcoming season's over with. So this time next year, Kevin Durant says, you know what? I'm going to go back. Thank you. I got my championship. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go OKC. Or he could, there could be a trade somewhere in there. They could trade him and he can go back. Or he, who says that they're going to win a championship there at Golden State? Golden State could be, on their high horse and fall off real quick, real easy after an amazing season they had last year. Not saying that's going to happen, and I'm not wishing that upon them, but you don't know what's going to happen. It's all about team chemistry. Can they play as a team? Now, can they do what they did this past season again? Chances are, no. There's going to be a lot more pressure on them. Not to mention, everyone in the NBA has seen what they can do. They've been studying film. If they've studied film over this course of the off season, then you know what? The secret's out. We know what you can do. We know what you can't do. So I mean, I know a lot of people out there saying, "Oh, KD, you did Oklahoma City wrong." Well, in a lot of ways, yes, he's being hit on the part of them doing something wrong to the city of OKC. I feel bad for the fans. The fans love him. He has a great fan base down there. I kind of wish he didn't leave, but at the same time, you got to go where the money's at. You got to go in your gut. If you feel like you can if you feel like you have a good chemistry with those other guys from that other team, then why not go? Everything is not about. Yes, the money makes the world go round. But at the same time, you got to go where the money's at. And not to mention, OKC, you're also to blame for this. And you can also say Russell Westbrook is to blame. As Westbrook, he was, let's be honest, he's a ball hog. He has to take, so many, he feels like he has to take so many shots a game. And when you take that many shots and you're missing, you're hurting your ball club. You're not helping him, you're hurting him. And to me, he's more of a person that makes other guys look good if he passes the ball well. Because honestly, if you can pass the ball and give guys who have good open shots, let them take those shots, I'm telling you now, those assists will go up, and not to mention you'll play a lot more better. You won't have all that. You won't necessarily feel like you have to have all that pressure to do something. Because when it comes down to the point where you're in that position where you can make a shot, the pressure's not. You don't have everything on you. When you're taking 40, 50, 60 shots at a game, and it comes down to the point where you're sitting there taking all these shots, you're losing the morale from the other players. You're hurting them of possibly helping out and bringing home a W. And also, too, OKC, the management-wise, they just didn't do a good job of building a team around Westbrook. After that, the year they went to the finals and lost against LeBron, they should have been doing a better job of free agency. Now, yes, does money come in factor again? Yes. If in order to bring in guys that you want, you got to have the money and the cash to provide. To build a winning team. Money does help quite a bit. And it depends on where you're at, the location you're at. And OKC is one of those mid-market teams that just don't have enough capita to really do something for the ball club. So that's going to hurt him. And that probably was in the idea of KD of, okay, what can this team bring? What can they offer to the table? If that offer on the table is not any good, then I may have to go somewhere else. Now, I think for the fans, some of them are idiots for burning KD stuff because, again, he can come back home. After this time next year, he can opt out and say, you know what, after whatever how the season went, if he win or lost, if he won a championship or didn't get a championship, he can make that decision and say, you know what, I feel like I my heart's still in Oklahoma City. My, everything about that team, there's something about that team I love. I want to go back. And I'm telling you, open arms, open arms. To me, did he burn his bridges? I don't think he did. And I think we'll probably see him back in Oklahoma City jersey here very soon. I think this is something he just wants to test the water, see what he can do in another, another area. And he's still going to be in the NBA West. So nothing's going to really change. It's not going to shift anything when it comes to the landscape of the NBA. But it just, I don't know. I think people were just freaking out a little too much on his decision. Yes, I mean, at least he didn't go out and make have a full hour special about his decision on going to, I don't know, this decision what team he's going to play for, like LeBron did, because when LeBron did that was just too much. All right, let's go ahead and get off the hardcore, and now let's go into the gridiron, as we're going to talk about some stuff going on here in the NFL. As you know, the NFL season is just underway, as we're just now getting into the requirement of the NFL training camp. A lot of, of course, Monday, rookies and quarterbacks showed up, and then on Tuesday, veterans showed up to the training facilities all around the nation. And, of course, the first preseason games are coming up here in the next week or week and a half from now. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and talk about my thing. I work at a university. I work at Missouri Western State University in St. Joseph, Missouri. And I work in food services and also event affairs and stuff like that. So I do a lot of stuff, help out with the university when it comes to events and stuff like that. And of course, the biggest event this year, starting off the school year, is the Chiefs camp. Now, this is the 7th year I think they've done this. This is my 3rd year doing the Chiefs camp. Yeah, there's either 2nd or 3rd year I've done this. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's really fun. You get to meet some of the Chiefs players. Some of them are really cool. They'll sit there and talk with you, while you're doing something or whatever. A lot of them are really polite. They have manners. They please and thank you and all that kind of stuff. So, occasionally you got some of the high-profile guys that come in there. They'll get something to eat. They're, hi, how you doing? And, they go about their business, which I have no problem with that, Not seeking for an autograph or anything. We do get occasionally, we might get an autograph or two here and there if we can. We gotta kind of be sneaky about it. But it's a great event. They have the family weekend coming up. I actually have a couple friends that are going to be coming up here for that event, and I think I'm going to try to get some signed footballs for them here. I think. Well, I'm trying to think this weekend. I'm not working this weekend, but I am working. I worked yesterday. Let's put it that way. I worked yesterday. I'm not working this Saturday or Sunday, and then next week I'll be working several days there at the camp, helping out with the food and all that kind of stuff. Stuff for the players in the cafeteria and all that. But it's a good way. I thought it was. I enjoyed it. I never had a problem with it. We never had any big issues or anything. Coaching staff, the front office, all that are really great people. They're nice. They're considerate. They're please and thank you, and that goes a long way when you say please and thank you and have manners. showing that your parents taught you right. That's always great. But yeah, the training camps are going on right now, and one of the training camps right now that's just been under the microscope here in the last couple of days is the Jets. The Jets just recently re-signed Fitzgerald to their core as a quarterback here, and Geno Smith is livid. According to the New York Daily News, he is not happy about this at all. He is considered, as he says, he is pissed off about the Jets and what they are doing here. Now, should Geno Smith be pissed off about them signing Ryan Fitzgerald? Maybe. I don't know. It's all about personal opinion. In my opinion, why are you upset? The Jets just have signed you. And the brief time you've been in the NFL, you have not really been consistent. You've been kind of shaky at times, been kind of nerve-wracking at some times, and sometimes, of course, you've been banged up quite a bit. And do the Jets, have the right to question what you do on the, here on the field and your abilities? Yeah, they're paying you. They're paying you pretty good money, and you're not producing the way they want. They're not. If you're not producing the numbers they feel comfortable with, then they have the right to sign someone that they know can do the job. Now, is Fitzgerald going to be starting? Probably not. Fitzgerald's probably there as a role as a mentor for you. So, has Fitzgerald had a big career? Well, he's had his spats. He's had his here and there sprinkled around the NFL. He's with the Buffalo Bills at one time. He was with the Texans there, playing there for a while. And, he had some mild success and everything. Super Bowl type number, no. We haven't seen him in that. But he's had some pretty good victories. Does he have some experience on being on the field? Yes, he does. I think that's something Geno Smith needs to look at. He is not there. Is he there to take your job? Possibly, yeah. He could possibly get his job. We all know. We can all be honest about this. He could have his job. He could take his job, Geno Smith's job, and be the starter at a moment's notice. If the Jets feel like that he does not fit, does not play well, or does not do well, his chances of him being second string and holding a clipboard for the season, it's high. Very high. Odds are, yeah, that's gonna happen. But I think the Jets signed Fitzgerald, besides of having him be the backup, and in case Geno Smith does get banged up, because to me, you're in the pocket, you're a quarterback, you're gonna get hit, and you're gonna get hit hard, especially if you're a quarterback that is mobile. If you like to get out of the pocket and run, and don't like to slide. And that's the thing, quarterbacks. If you're a mobile quarterback, you better slide. Avoid getting hit. I tell you this, but you just try your best to do what you can, and also get some, pick his brain about stuff. He's had a lot more experience you have in the NFL, both as a starter and as a backup. So this is a great opportunity to get a chance and to, get some feedback from him. Pick his brain. Ask him questions. Get that experience that he has from him, and so you can apply it to yourself and how you play the game. I don't understand why some players do not do that. They think as soon as they come out of the college, I got signed first round or whatever, and I'm going to be the big man on campus. This is going to be my team. I'm going to do it my way. And then they see a guy that comes in there, or a guy that's already been there, and that guy is told from the head coach or from the front office or from the owner, hey, you know what? You've been with the team for this amount of years. Whatever happened last year, good or bad, we really want to focus in on trying to get this young guy in here, and not to try to step on your toes, but we want him to compete with you. And could you, we want him to start him out of the gate real quick, but we need you there as to play as a role. Now as a guy that's in the quarterback position, has been around in the league for several years now, and especially he's played on teams where he's had to come in and take over and be the the other quarterback and take over a team, and then all of a sudden you're the guy, and then turn around the next season. Well, we can't have you be the guy. We need you to be the guy behind the guy. That's tough, and that's, to me, Fitzpatrick is he's one of those guys you don't hear too much about as a quarterback that sees himself as, he's not a prima donna. He knows what his role is, and he knows how to execute that role. And I think that's what Geno Smith's upset about, is that he knows that Fitzpatrick, at a moment's notice, can take over that position, and Geno's back at being a backup again. And you know what, Geno? I hate to tell you this, but maybe you are meant to be a backup. Maybe you're not. Maybe you just don't have the it to be the guy, to be the the general of that team. So if he's pissed about Fitzpatrick being signed, this is going to be in his head. I mean, I'm sorry, he's one of those type of guys that he's going to let this something like this, where he can be taking advantage of this and get knowledge from Fitzpatrick and the quarterback coaches and stuff like that, and just be okay. Fine, Geno, you are the starter, but take advantage of Ryan's knowledge of the game and everything he's seen in the game, because he's seen a lot more than you probably will ever see. Especially if you're a backup quarterback for the rest of your life, and he's played more. He's been a starter a lot longer than you have. Something like this, and there's guys that let little stuff like this get in their head, and that right there is in their mind the whole season long, and they can't get it out, and they wonder why. Why am I playing this bad? Because you're letting something this small, something this minute get to you, and you're not focusing on playing the game itself. So, but to me, I mean, was it wrong for the Jets to sign Fitzgerald? Hell no. I would did. If I was the general manager and the owner, sign him. We need someone that has that experience, because just in case Geno goes down because of injury or just playing bad football, making bad decisions on that field. Because remember, as a quarterback, you're a game manager. That's all you are. You're managing the game. You're throwing the ball. You're managing the game. You're managing the clock, the scene, and getting your field down the field, trying to march them down the field to get a score touchdown. That's it. So I don't know, Geno. You gotta get that out of your head and just deal with it and just play it to the best of your ability. And that's all they're asking. That's what any team in all 32 of these NFL teams are asking their quarterbacks to do. Do what you do best. Keep us in the game. Don't make any errors. Yes, we know you're not going to be perfect, but just keep the game, manage the game, and keep it close. So give us the best opportunity to win. That's it. All right, let's move on to another NFL star. This time from the NFC West, talking about Mr. Richard Sherman. As according to Vibe magazine, he recently was interviewed by Vibe magazine about the controversial issues that have been going on here in the United States. Of course, I'm talking about the whole Black Lives Matter, now all lives matter. Now all blue lives matter. This movement and whatnot. And reading this article, I was sitting there thinking about Richard Sherman. I'm thinking, like, I never had an issue with Richard Sherman or anything personally. I never met the guy or anything. And him on TV, he seems like he's confident. He's not cocky like most corners are or anything. Some people could say otherwise, but he just seems like a person that sounds like he's very intelligent in what he says and whatnot, especially on this issue. Now I know before I try my best not to make this a political thing on this show or anything, because politics that's something that's for another channel, that's another video for another day. Because this is a sports channel, but a lot of times when sports and politics cross each other, we have to talk about it. I think this is something we need to talk about. And one of the things that the reporter there on Vibe.com talked to Richard Sherman about was about the All Blacks Matters and what he thought about it, and what his thoughts are about police officers shooting young innocent black males, and that's what pretty much all Black Lives Matter about the injustice of what police officers are doing to black men who are unarmed. And for the most part, a lot of them have not had any. I mean, they might have had minor criminal acts that have happened, but nothing to the point where they end up, had their lives taken from them. And I don't think, to me, I think I said this before, but a lot of officers, I know it's a judgment call, and I've never been in their situation that they've been in. A lot of police officers, I forgot what the statistics are, but rarely fire their firearm, which is good. Talking to a friend of mine who is a police officer, he's only fired his firearm maybe once or twice ever in his career. He's been in, actually both of them. One of them has been in law enforcement for almost 15 years. The other one has been in law enforcement for almost now 10 years. So, talking about this, I think it's both on both sides. I mean, if you are arrested, just do what the officer says. Just be respectful. He's got a job to do. He may not. And yes, are there? Before I get to that point, just be kind, be courteous, do what the officer says. Now, are there officers that are just dirty as hell and try to pin stuff on people? Yes, don't get me wrong. There's not a perfect cop out there. But are there good cops out there? Yes, there are. There are a lot of good cops that try their best to do their job and just be able to do their job, clock in, and then clock out without being harmed. But talking in this article, it's a really good article. You have to read it. But Richard Sherman says it should be all humans matter, regardless of who you are, what your economical status is, what your gender, your sex, your religion, sexuality, whatever. It should be all humans matter, regardless. And he was talking about how that we're all responsible for what's been going on here as of late. That it's just not a. Are there police officers that do this that shoot without thinking? Yes. Do they need to be reprimanded and being taken to the full extent of the law? Yes. But at the same time, it's also us, the people, your everyday citizens, that need to abide by the law. And if you do break the law, you need to be punished, but not punished to the point where you lose your life. It's a really good read. It's a quick article. You guys can take the time and read it and whatnot. But he made some really good points about that it's just not Black Lives Matter. It's all lives matter. And what he means by all lives matter is it's not a black and white issue. It's an everybody issue, regardless of what your color is. It doesn't matter what your color is. We're all affected by it, and we're all responsible. It's just, and he also says that a lot of people are mistaken about what all Black Lives Matters is, because it's really about black males. Black males are, of course, been the ones that have been gunned down by white officers, and of course, it's going to be a race issue. Race is going to make a big factor in it. Was it race motivated? And in some instance, in some ways, I'm hoping it's not. But in some ways, in the back of your mind, you kind of think, were they driven by racism? Was it something that was race an issue? And that's something you got to examine when you see this type of stuff. Personally, I've been stopped by the police before, and luckily I've never been arrested, never went to jail. But I have been stopped by the police for a ticket, or not necessarily drunk in public or anything, but just making sure I get home. They see me stumbling or whatever. Hey, are you okay? Do you need any medical attention? Stuff like that. Now, have I been arrested or have I been stopped by officers that have been rude? And in some ways, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, why are you stopping me for? I got to kind of question, like, what was the point of you stopping me when I didn't break the law? Yeah, I have. I have had that happen to me. And that's what sticks on my mind a lot of times when that happens. Do I naturally just like, oh, shit, I got stopped by the cops. Oh, damn it. It's going to be, oh, man, this is, they're stopping me because I'm black, blah, blah, blah. No, I try my best to follow the rules. I keep my, if I get stopped, I put my hands on the steering wheel. I make sure the officer can see what I'm doing. I even explain what I'm doing. I'm like, hey, I'm grabbing my, well, at that, before he gets there, I make sure I have my ID. I have my phone in sight, so he knows that if my phone rings or whatever, I can, he can see it. So I make it the situation where I'm not in a situation. I'm not in a sticky situation where he's getting nervous and getting, potentially be gun happy. I think that all people should be doing that, regardless of what race you are, because there's officers all officers in general have a tough job to deal with. They have to deal with tough issues, and being pulled over by. Because you've heard stories about police officers just doing a routine traffic stop and getting shot for no apparent reason, just because the person in the car may or may not have warrants or may not want to be stopped by the cop. They feel like that. Oh well, I didn't get. There's no point in me getting pulled over. Fuck. Screw the cop. I'm not gonna deal with it. And it just acts of random of ruthlessness, just true ruthlessness, just showing no humanity at all. And that's what in the article. That's what pretty much Rich Rogers talks about. Is that we need to show more humanity about these issues, and we need to be a country that is willing to talk about these issues and not skirt them off to the side. So it's a really good article. I seriously, you guys need to sit down and read it. There's a link down there below. It's a great article, and I like Richard Rogers even more reading this article. Even though he is a pain in the ass and Madden. Oh my goodness, that game I played the other day. Jeez, just. But anyway, but yeah, you guys check that article out. It's a really good read. Now let's talk about some other news here in the NFL, and let's look at the contract issues right now between Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. The Saints, over the last 2 years, have franchise tagged Drew Brees, and he has reportedly made almost close to a little over $40 million in those 2 years that he's been signed as a free agent or a franchise tag, which is pretty much a 1-year deal. It's somewhere around $43 million, I believe, that he's made. Between 40 and 43 million in those 2 years. And he, Drew Brees is a guy he wants. At least in a lot of interviews I've seen him in, he wants to stay a Saint. He loves it there in New Orleans. He loves playing with that team. He loves playing with Sean Payton, and he wants to be a Saints for life. But the organization has not did anything to, especially this offseason here, to sign him and a long-term contract. And a lot of people are wondering, okay, what is it? Why are you not want to sign him to a long-term contract? And there's a lot of people saying close to Drew says, some insiders and people that are close to him say that Drew has been talking about possibly leaving the Saints after the 2016-2017 season. So I've never been a. I like he's put up some great good numbers. He's had over 4,000 yards a season, so many touchdowns a season. He's been consistent ever since the days when he was in San Diego. And of course, when he was playing in San Diego, people were like, "Oh, he's too small. Can he see over the center? Can he can he throw the ball down the field? All this and that." And honestly, he's worth wherever he's worth right now. I think honestly he's worth paying that amount. Do the Saints have that in their cap? We don't know. I'm not for sure. I don't know the figures and whatnot. But him, when you think of a certain people in your back of your mind, when it comes to quarterbacks, or you think of a city, when I think of New Orleans, New Orleans Saints, the first person that comes to my mind is him. And why are they not paying that amount of money? We don't know. We don't know. It is in a budget. I have no clue. Like I said, I don't know the facts and figures. But if he is a type of person that is been putting up consistent numbers, and yes, have they been not playing well here in the last couple of seasons? Yeah, they had that whole issue of wiretapping other players' the opponents' locker rooms and getting information about what they were doing. And Sean Payton had to sit a whole year out for that. Not to mention you got Bountygate on them around about the same time. They had issues with that. And Drew Brees has been the guy that's been there helping clean up the mess with that ball team. And it'd be sad to see SB Nation. They have the article about it. You guys can read it. I believe it's also on NFL.com. But those are really good articles to read about it. What do you guys think? What do you guys think that should the Saints keep him? I'll try to put a poll question up for that here on the channel. But yeah, it just blows my mind that they have not signed him yet, and it's like, okay, why have you guys not signed him? There should be. You guys should be signing him and keeping him a part of that ball club as long as possible. Because they want to sign him until he's in his late 30s. I think he's going to be 40s. I want to say he's going to be 40 something here soon, or maybe he is in his 40s. I'm not for sure. But my question is for you guys: should the Saints pay Drew Brees? Should they pay him a contract? And the answer to that to me is yes. You guys haven't been going after a quarterback yet, as far as I know, from the draft or anything like that. The last couple of years to kind of get that guy ready and potentially make him the next guy up after Drew Brees leaves. So, if they don't sign Brees or they don't get somebody next, especially next season, fans there in New Orleans, they've been used to winning games. They may not be winning any games here, anytime soon here. It might be back in the doghouse like they were, back several years ago before he got there. So, yeah, it's an interesting question. Like I said, I'll probably put a poll question up there for you guys. You guys can check that out. Here on the channel. Alright, and the final story here in the NFL is no other than Brandon Marshall and Antonio Brown. This is something this is a story when I read it, I'm like, this is kind of interesting. I like seeing something like this. Hopefully it doesn't get too carried away. Hopefully it's legal in the aspects of where the rules are when it comes to. As far as I know, in the NFL you can't gamble, But if this is just a friendly gentleman's wager between the two of them, this could be interesting to see how these two fare out. And I wonder, too, why Brandon Marshall is saying this, and can he pull it off? In an article there, according to the NFL.com, Brandon Marshall recently here on social media has made a challenge to Antonio Brown about a wager between the two of them of making a bet of who is going to have a better numbers this upcoming season. Now, if you do know, Antonio Brown had a great, remarkable season last year with the Steelers. Numbers-wise, I mean, they were pretty much ridiculous. And Brandon Marshall believes that he's the better guy. He believes that he's the better wide receiver than Antonio Brown, and he can prove it this season. So the two of them are going to be going at it this season as they put up their vehicles. As Brandon Marshall says, he's going to put up, I believe, his Porsche, and Antonio Brown, he's going to put up his Porsche, and Antonio Brown, I believe, is going to put up his Rolls Royce. Now, the question, of course, the question is, everybody's asking, okay, why, can they do this? Can they do something like this? And as far as I know, I haven't heard anything yet. A lot of people are waiting for Roger Goodell to say something about this issue and whatnot. But I think it's kind of fun. I think this is going to be really entertaining for fans to see who's going to do what, and at the end of the year, who's going to put up the better numbers. By the looks of the last couple of years, Antonio Brown's had far better numbers than Brandon Marshall. So, this is going to be really interesting. Both are going to put up vehicles, and of course, Antonio Brown. When they asked him about this, they said, if this is a real deal, then fine, I'm all for it. Unless this is just some kind of internet thing that he's just trying to do. But if Brown goes on to say, if Marshall is serious about this, Brandon's being serious about this, and we about making a friendly gentleman's bet, he says, then I'm all for it. So. If this is true and they agree to it, I think this is going to be a lot of fun to see how these two guys are going to play this year. And it just makes it even more, that's just another big story that we can see, of course, over the year, how it's going to pan out to be. It could be, something that, we could, Team Marshall versus Team Brown, who's going to do well. I don't know if the two of them are going to be playing each other. I think Marshall's with the Bears. So, NFC North versus AFC North. So, I don't know what their schedules are this year, but if they're going to meet each other eventually at one point or whatever. But it's definitely be entertaining to see this happen, and something like this we don't get to see. Of course, they can't put up money because of gambling issues and stuff like that with rules within the NFL. But I'm sure Goodell is going to say something about this if he's going to allow this, let these two do it, whatnot. But there's been a lot of talk on social media here in the last couple of days about it and whatnot, and a lot of people are buzzing about it. And like I said, I personally think it's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome to see here. So one of them is going to give up a car, over a course of a $250,000 vehicle. But hey, when you got money like that, hey, why not? So I would rather see them give that, like maybe charity, some kind of charity event, some kind of charity money given to charity, Boys and Girls Club or something like that. But they want to do vehicles, and I don't know. That's, like I said, it's going to be fun. It's going to be entertaining. Something else that we could talk about here on the channel and throughout the year there in the world of social media and stuff. So, can't wait. All right, before we wrap up here, we're going to go into the squared circle here and go into the world of pro wrestling. And we're going to look at here at the new era of WWE. Recently, here this past Monday, we've seen a new look to Monday Night Raw, as Monday Night Raw's roster has been shooken up, and we have superstars like Seth Rollins, and we got Roman Reigns. Of course, both men were unsuccessful to get the WWE Championship, and now that Mick Foley is now the GM, along with Stephanie McMahon, who is the Raw Commissioner. The two of them have teamed up, and they have came up with a new way of getting Monday Night Raw excited once again, as they are going to unveil a new championship here in the WWE on Raw, as Raw will have their own championship on that brand. It will be called the WWE Universal Champion, and there was I believe two six-man over the top, or I think it was over the top or Rumble type Royale type matches or whatever. And then the two men who won that went on one-on-one against each other, and I believe it was Roman Reigns and Finn Balor. The winner of that match is Finn Balor, and the winner will be taking on Seth Rollins for the first ever WWE Universal Champion. And a lot of fans are wondering what this championship is going to look like. Of course, now that Dean Ambrose retained his championship there at Battlegrounds, which Battlegrounds was a great event. Well, wouldn't say great. That's a little too big, but it was a decent pay-per-view. Enjoyed it a lot. And, of course, the biggest thing of the night was seeing Bayley on WWE programming. Don't know if she's going to be called up just yet. She does, have that match against Asuka coming up here at the next TakeOver pay-per-view for NXT, which will be, I think, the night before SummerSlam, like they did last year. But those two will go head in that. You got Alexa Bliss, and you got so many other new faces there on these on Raw and Smackdown. But yeah, Finn Balor going to be up for that title, and a lot of people are wondering, okay, this is going to be a good matchup. Who is going to win this one? And honestly, I have no clue. I have no idea who's going to win this match. I know it's going to be a good match. I don't think it'll be Balor, because it's just the simple fact that he's new to WWE. This may start the idea of, a lot of people are saying this could be the start of the Balor Club, because he is on the same brand as Anderson and Gallows, and that could start that up there on there. And or he could be they could call it the club, continue to call themselves a club. And of course AJ's over at SmackDown, and the club could take over both brands, because both brands will meet each other 4 times out of the year at, of course, the upcoming SummerSlam, Survivor Series, WrestleMania, and at Royal Rumble. So, anything's possible, which I kind of like seeing that, these brands splitting off and having storylines be parallel to one another. But yeah, Rollins and Balor will meet at SummerSlam. Now, on SmackDown, of course, Dean Ambrose is your WWE Champion, or could he be the World Champion, or could he be the WWE World Heavyweight Champion? The name of that championship we just don't know yet, because they were saying so many different names, giving him so many different title names. I don't know, it was kind of just the first episode, the new episode, the first episode of the New Era for SmackDown. I liked the intro video of the show, the intro to the show, but the music-wise did not go with the video package they had with it. I thought they could have did a lot better, picked a better song for SmackDown. I'm still going to miss Black and Blue. That was, I think, besides The Beautiful People by Marilyn Manson, the Black and Blue song is probably still one of my favorites. Is my top 2 favorites there for SmackDown. This one that they have right now, didn't like it. Same thing with Raw. Great new video package and everything, but the music just did not. I don't know. They could have picked a better choice of music. So I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's new and we haven't heard it as much. But we'll have to see here if they, how long they're going to use that to the point where enough people say, yeah, get rid of it. But yeah, the split is now. So you got fans that like back in the day, you only watch Raw, you only watch SmackDown. Unknown about the Divas Championship, of course, we have a new Divas Champion, that being no other than the boss, Sasha Banks. Yes, she is the boss, and she is now the Women's Champion. We don't know if we're going to have another Women's Championship or not. We don't know if that championship is going to go back and forth between the two brands, because there are divas on Raw or on SmackDown that need a championship to fight for something. So we'll see how that goes. What else? The Cruiserweight division is going to be exclusively on Raw, and that is going to be revealed more next week. Same thing with the Tag Team division. They really haven't said much about that. We do know that the New Day is now the new longest reigning Tag Team champions. They beat Brian Kendrick and Paul London. They had Paul London and Kendrick had those titles for 321 days. New Day's exceeded that now, and I'm pretty sure that at SummerSlam those guys will probably end up dropping the title and have it move on to someone else. The question is, who is it going to be? And right now on Raw there are so many tag teams. Of course, you cannot forget about the Dudleys. I believe you got the Von Villains over there, I think, or maybe not. I know Enzo and Cass are there, so right now they're hot. Right now, they're a lot of people are enjoying them. Of course, on SmackDown you have next week they'll debut. I don't know why they didn't debut them this week, but they're gonna wait till next week. You got the debut of American Alpha appearing on SmackDown, and again. Don't know what the tag team. Excuse me. Don't know what the tag team titles are going to be like. If they're going to swing to both brands, or if it's just going to be a brand exclusive on Raw. But right now, the New Day have that title. Braun Strowman made his singles debut on Raw this past week. He faced a local competitor. We're going to see how that goes. Going back to, and I thought this was so awesome, and I can't now. This makes me even want to see how this rivalry between these two guys are going to go at it. But the upcoming match, of course, the one match we do know is going to happen at SummerSlam. Well, now the one of three matches we know is going to happen at SummerSlam, because the other match they announced was Dean Ambrose and Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler is now the new number one contender for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And of course, this is a great opportunity for Dolph because now he's back in the limelight here. And I think this is what's going to really help out having this brand split, as we're going to see guys that wouldn't necessarily get the opportunity for a title get that opportunity for a title. And I think this is a perfect time for Dolph to go after Dean and really get a rivalry going. Maybe I wouldn't be surprised if we see a heel turn from Dolph coming up. Because some of the things he said on the WWE Network special they had of the draft, it made me kind of think Dolph was going to go back in his old ways there, being just a conniving, underhanded little bastard there. So we'll have to see how that goes coming up here in the next couple of weeks. But going back to what I was trying to say was the big match coming up, one of three the main events for SummerSlam, and that is the Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton match. If you guys remember, in the last episode I was talking about Brock Lesnar and his issues right now with his PED use and such. And Randy Orton, of all things, and I knew someone had to bring it up, and of all people who brought it up was Mr. Orton himself. Randy, they're at Battlegrounds during the highlight reel with Chris Jericho brought up the fact that, hey, what Brock are we going to see? And, of course, talk about his PED use that he, of course, got in trouble with UFC, and now it's not going to be suspended or be paying a fine. And he used the same kind of drug that that Bones Jones used just a couple months back. And, of course, that's still being up in the air, controversy, especially with the WWE, if they're going to suspend him or not, or what they're going to do. Roman Reigns, of course, just came back from suspension. He was at the pay-per-view, and, of course, like I say, was unsuccessful getting the title back. And a lot of people saying that Reigns looks like he could be getting buried here for a while, as he was unsuccessful, of course, against Finn Balor in that one-on-one match to see who's going to be going for the Universal title there on Raw. And let's see, a lot of people were complaining about the camera angles there on SmackDown. I have not. I've watched a little bit of Raw or a little bit of SmackDown, and some of the things I've seen they were trying to use the crane, the crane. What is it? The crane camera angles and stuff like that. Some of them looked all right, and then some of it was kind of just like, okay, you guys are trying too hard, too much to make the product look different than Raw, which that's the whole point of having this split. You want to have a different look so people can compare and contrast how everything is shot and everything. I think too there was some weird things that was backstage, how they were doing backstage interviews and stuff. So I think they were doing more interviews like right after the match was over with, off to the side of the ring and stuff like that. And a lot of people that were watching at home, of course via the internet, were saying that, hey, this is really weird. We don't care for this. Can you guys just do something else? So, and there was an interview. There was an interview there on one of the websites they had with one of the wrestling websites, talking to Shane McMahon and Dan Bryan about it. And they said they was going to try some stuff week to week to see what worked out, what would work, what didn't work out. But to me, SmackDown just seemed like it was just it is the first new era, first episode of the new era and everything. I think they were trying a little too much and they were trying a little too hard. And I think they kind of bring it back some. And, just implement some new changes to some stuff. I know they changed the graphics and all that kind of stuff. But some of these changes need to be gradual. We don't need to be just throwing all the stuff all at once. I think it needs to happen gradually over a course of, several weeks. And I'm hoping that that's what they're going to do, because they said they was going to make some few changes after watching the first, the most recent episode of it. There's some changes they're gonna make, and so hopefully that works out for everybody. And but for the most part, it just I don't know. There was just nothing like, oh, this is cool. This is something different. This is gonna be exciting. It just seemed like it's SmackDown, So I don't know. I think we just need to just sit back and just absorb it and try to take in everything we can. And then give it, wait a month maybe from now, and say, hey, okay, this is what you guys need to do. You need to change this, or you need to change that, or, whatever the case may be. Just give it some time to get used to it. So, but yeah, there was a lot of complaints about it and whatnot. Me personally, the only thing I really care for, like I say, was the new theme for SmackDown. And then just some of the weird camera angles, some of the weird camera shots they had, and then the interviewing thing they were doing or whatever. So, so we'll see how that goes. Oh, not to mention some of the big news. I thought it was really cool, and I think I mentioned this last. I teased it last episode. I'm going ahead and say it now. It was released according to Teddy Long, and now it's legit. MVP is returning back to the WWE. We don't know when he will, what show he will be on. We don't know when he will appear, but he will be returned back to the WWE. And then we just found out on SmackDown, it was breaking news that Shelton Benjamin is returning back to the WWE. So the gold standard, Mr. The gold standard of pro wrestling there, Mr. Shelton Benjamin, he's returning to SmackDown, and he will return next week there on the show. Not to mention Monday, man, there's a lot of things. As I say, there were so many things going on. Monday, we had Rhino return. Of course, he's been back with the WWE, but of course, of way of NXT. Now he's back on the main roster. I believe also too, Kurt Hawkins. I think I mentioned this on the last episode there. Kurt Hawkins now made a return. I don't know what show he's going to be on. A lot of people say he's going to be possibly teaming up with Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley. Don't know yet, but he's making his return back to the WWE. And again, I think he's on the SmackDown brand. At least some of the things I've been reading that he's supposed to be on there, but I don't know for sure. I can't really confirm that yet. But yeah, definitely check out some websites out there for pro wrestling and stuff. So like I said, a lot of good changes here going on here. And it's pretty exciting right now. Just with change or whatnot. Some people like the changes, some people don't. But we just got used to it here for a while to see if it's going to work out or not. I know we don't cover this too much. We don't cover too much of TNA, but TNA, they got their big. They actually some pretty couple of cool segments here. I know they're in the midst of Bound for Glory right now, getting that settled because Bound for Glory is coming up here. Which it's kind of weird because Bound for Glory is usually in September, October, but they're already getting a lot of matches already for the Bound for Glory series right now. So yeah, I mean, geez, I just can't believe they're already starting that already. But yeah, there's that, and there's just so much going on there. I think my favorite rivalry right now is between Al Snow and the two young guys. He's from India, and Gordo, the British guy. That right there, that's a pretty interesting rivalry right now. Al Snow has a little faction he has, and that's getting pretty interesting. I'm kind of interested of seeing how that goes. Plus, too, Mike Bennett, the Miracle, and now Moose from Ring of Honor. Now he's part of TNA, and they're teaming up now. And I think it got issues with EC3. So, but yeah, like I said, I'll try again. I don't get to watch TNA as often as I used to. Of course, I don't have cable, but the network they're on, I don't have that network, so it really sucks. Because I've been watching some stuff, just some highlights from YouTube and stuff like that. I'm like, I kind of want to get back into TNA again. There's some pretty interesting wrestlers there now. So, all right, that is it for this week's episode. This episode will be up at regular schedule time at 6 p.m. Central Time Zone, 7 Eastern. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this week's episode, and hopefully we'll have some more things to talk about over the course of the weekend. We didn't have no baseball this week. No Olympic news, surprisingly enough. Oh man, the Olympics are just getting crazy right now with all of these bad things going on right now with it. But yeah, that is it for this week in sports here on Sports Gamer Soapbox Talk podcast. If you guys enjoy the video, leave a like. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Again, all the links to all the stories that we talked about today, or for the most part, most of the stories we've talked about here today, are down below. Check out those links and read some of those articles there. Some pretty good reads this week. But that is it for me, you guys. Yeah, that's pretty much it. like I said, I go back to work here with helping out with the Chiefs here or there on Monday, and thing is, I only work at night, so the majority of those players will come in and eat, and it's kind of funny because last year I had a pretty good rapport with Coach Andy Reid. It was kind of funny, and I chuckle about it and whatnot. And my buddy's like, "Oh, so you're buddies with Andy Reid?" I'm like, "No, like I just have casual small talk with the man. He comes to the line, gets food, and that's it. We just just chit chat, just small chit chat. That's it. Nothing like I mean, surprisingly enough, he remembered my name. But it's just casual chit chat. They're freaking out about like, oh, it's so awesome, this and that. And I'm like, he's just a damn, he's a coach. Yeah, but he's a coach in the NFL, man. I'm like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe because I don't get starstruck. It doesn't hit me like that, like it does everybody else. But he's a dude that's a coach that has a bigger bank account than I do. I mean, just. Not that special, hell. So, but that's it, you guys, for me this week. I'll talk more about that, about my experience with that next week. I'll probably talk about more of that next weekend, as long as there's nothing crazy going on in any of the sports. But I'll talk more about that next week. So, thank you guys so much for listening. That's it for the ESGN or ESGNet Sports Gamer Soapbox podcast talk. That is it for episode 14. As always, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. Links down below in the description. And that is it for me, you guys. I will see you guys next time.